How's it going, Aaron? It's great to get you on the podcast. It's been a few months. It's been like what, 6 months probably at this point since you were last on.
I believe so. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time we had a fantastic conversation, and I typically try to not have people on, twice in the same year, right? But I felt like we had so much more to talk about, right? That we could absolutely have you back on sooner. So I appreciate, you coming back on, and we're going to talk about everything, SaaS security, Salesforce. There's a new Salesforce report out that we're going to dive into. So I'm definitely excited for our conversation.
Yeah, me too. It's an absolute pleasure to be back.
Yeah, yeah. So Aaron, why don't you, maybe just refresh my audience's, memory of your quick background, right? Just, what's your specialty, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the chief of SaaS security research at AppOmni. So my niche is in SaaS security, as is alluded to in my title. So specifically focusing on the SaaS platforms that are like powering the enterprise globally. So if you're not familiar, that's what those are. We're talking about like Salesforce, ServiceNow, like Oracle, NetSuite, Workday, those cloud systems is what I kind of focus on. And really my specialty area is in identifying misconfigurations or potential for customers to misconfigure these platforms in a way that reduces their security posture. So I do a lot of, 0-day kind of research, but it's mostly figuring out and identifying if a customer regresses in some access control or if they enable some configuration, how is that reducing the overall security of their environment, and how could that be exploited by an attacker?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's still a notion of SaaS apps being like a very highly secure path forward, right? And I feel like people that don't really look into it, that aren't security experts in the field, it's difficult for them to grasp that, right? Because you're putting all of your trust in this application that you're using every single day, for the most part. I mean, like Salesforce, for instance, right? I mean, what company doesn't have Salesforce, and what company is also looking at Salesforce from like a security risk perspective, right? Like I was working for a large automotive manufacturer, based out of Germany. So you can narrow it down right there to three, right? And they have a giant Salesforce presence, right? Globally, because whatever Germany buys, the rest of the globe is going to, take and deploy and everything else, right? Because Germany is over there negotiating these insane deals with vendors. And, a year into this role, my CISO says, "Oh, hey, you should go look at Salesforce. Like, we don't know what's going on over there." Like, what are you talking about? We don't know what's going on over there, And I found out, I mean, 20% of what the security team knew about Salesforce was completely wrong, or they only knew about 20% of what was going on.
Is extremely typical. Generally, what we see is that security folks within an organization are forgetting what the shared responsibility model is. And so they have this preconceived notion that it's like, well, it's on Salesforce to secure Salesforce, right? And it's like, well, it's not that clear cut, because Salesforce is responsible for the security of their software. It's proprietary software. So if you've got like a SQL injection out of the box that like the second you buy a Salesforce instance is there, then it's like, yeah, that's on them to fix. So that's their job from a security perspective. What isn't their job is monitoring and auditing configurations that you as a customer make and customizations that you make on the platform. And this isn't just Salesforce, this is across the board, right? For ServiceNow, all these different SaaS platforms. If you decide that you want to delete every access control, like you can do that. That's what makes these platforms so powerful, and also, funnily enough, like so popular, is they're so customizable. It's like, hey, here's the platform. It can do all these amazing things, and you can build so much on it. You don't like our APIs? You can build your own APIs, and you can do whatever you want. And it's fantastic, but it's not the vendor's job to secure those APIs for you, right? They don't know what your use case is. They're not going to do any of that. So it's on depending on who you ask, could be on the platform administrators, the guy who's got the system admin account on Salesforce, who's logging in every day. Could be their job. Could be the job of the actual like red teams, right? To kind of get up to scratch with the like access control model of these SaaS platforms and do their routine pen tests and things like that. There's also a bit of responsibility on the developers within these organizations. So if you've got a very big Salesforce presence, you've probably got people writing code on Salesforce because they have that on these platforms. They've got their own languages effectively. And by writing code, you can introduce security vulnerabilities there. So depending on the organization, the security of your platform, it could fall on one person. It could fall on multiple teams across different departments.